path that wasn't there before. Nora had always loved the quiet solitude of her new home on the edge of town, where the woods stretched beyond her backyard like a dark, whispering sea. But on the third morning after her move, she noticed something peculiar. A narrow dirt path twisting between the trees, where only dense underbrush had stood the day before. It wasn't marked on any map, and the locals never mentioned it. Standing at its entrance, the path seemed to pulse faintly, as if alive, beckoning her to step into the unknown. Curiosity tugged at her, but an unshakable unease prickled her skin as she took her first steps onto the path. The air grew cooler, and the usual sounds of birds and rustling leaves faded into an unsettling silence. Shadows seemed to lengthen unnaturally, stretching toward her like dark fingers. As she walked, the trees leaned closer, their twisted branches forming shapes that teased the edges of her vision. She told herself it was just her imagination, but the feeling of being watched clung to her like a second skin. Further along, she glimpsed something moving just beyond the tree line, too quick and shadowy to be sure what it was. She paused, heart pounding, trying to steady her breath. The forest, once familiar, now seemed alien and hostile. Faint whispers floated on the cold breeze, indistinct but filled with urgent desperation. Nora questioned her own senses. Was the path a cruel trick of her mind, or was it leading her somewhere she should not go? Despite every instinct screaming to turn back, Nora pressed forward, drawn by a compulsion she could neither explain nor resist. The path twisted sharply, opening into a small clearing bathed in unnatural twilight. There, carved into the bark of an ancient tree, were symbols she didn't recognize, deep grooves that seemed to pulse with a faint light. The whispers grew louder, now almost a chant, weaving a story she couldn't understand, but felt woven into her own fate. Nora's mind wavered between fear and fascination as she traced the symbols with trembling fingers. The air thickened, and the forest seemed to hold its breath. Suddenly, the path behind her vanished. No trace remained where she had come from. Panic fluttered in her chest as she realized she was deeper in the woods than she had ever intended, trapped on a path that wasn't there before and might never lead back. Hours, or was it moments, passed as Nora wandered, the path reappearing and disappearing like a mirage. The whispers turned into voices, some pleading, others warning, all blending into a haunting chorus that clawed at her thoughts. She questioned her sanity, her reality unraveling with every step. What was this place? A trap, a test, or something older and darker than she could imagine? The line between the forest and her mind blurred into an endless twilight of uncertainty. Exhausted and trembling, Nora finally collapsed at the base of a tree, the last whisper fading into silence. In the stillness, she noticed a small, worn wooden sign she hadn't seen before. It read simply, "The way forward is the way back." As dawn's first light filtered through the branches, the path solidified once more, clear and inviting. With a deep breath, she rose to follow it, wondering if she would ever truly leave the path that wasn't there before, or if it had become a part of her forever.